Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you could join me today. I hope everybody's doing well. Does that beautiful scenery get you in the mood for spring? It certainly gets me in the mood for spring, and so does that gorgeous bracelet. Now the intro showed you a 2-strand bracelet, but at the end of this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make 2 separate bracelets using the same beads. I just feel that sometimes spring can be a little unpredictable, and sometimes you have warm days and other days you have cool days, and I don't always like to wear a double strand bracelet when it's warm. On the days that it's warm and muggy, I don't wear any jewelry at all, or I wear something very small. Now before we get started, I want to let you know that you can make this project with any beads, okay? You don't have to use the beads from a particular collection or a particular subscription. Sometimes I feel like my viewers navigate away when they hear that I'm using a collection, okay? But that's why I put a very detailed list of all the materials down below in the description section of this video, so you can go check it out, and if you need to go out and buy the beads yourself, you can do so. Now I know sometimes it's difficult to find certain items, okay? But today's project is going to have very simple, very common beads, okay? And by the way, guys, my husband pointed this out to me the other day. He mentioned that a lot of people didn't know how to get to the description section of the video. And I think he's correct. I think sometimes it depends on the device that you use. But if you look down below where the YouTube screen is, down where the introduction is, below that, there are 2 words that say show more, okay? And just click on that and it expands the description. And then you can scroll down and look at all the information down there. So anyway, guys, I am going to be using the beads from the Misty Moon Treasure bag, which was released a little over a week ago. And there were only 100 bags made. It was a limited edition, so it sold out pretty much right away. But like I said, the beads that I'm going to be using are very common beads, and you can find them on the internet somewhere. You can either do a Google search or go to Amazon or Etsy. I'm sure you can find them there. Now the Misty Moon Treasure bag was released by Gina from GGC's Treasures, and I got to curate it, so I'm very grateful for that. And if you don't want to miss out on any of her future launches, please go to her website and sign up for treasure bag notifications. That way, the next time she releases a bag, you won't miss out. I'll make sure that I leave a link to her website down below in the description section of this video. And before we get started, let me remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please think about doing so, because it really helps my channel and it helps me to stay motivated to create more content for you. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so the next time I release a video, you'll be notified. So anyway, guys, I don't want to keep talking. I want to jump right into the tutorial, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go over the strands first. We're going to be using some of these beautiful 8mm round amethyst gemstone beads. We're also going to be using these smaller ones. These are 6mm in size. We'll be using some of these Malaysia Jade rondelle beads in a dyed orange color. These are 4 by 3mm in size. We're going to be using some of these natural lilac jade heishi beads. These are 4.5 by 2mm in size. We're going to be using some of these frosted round glass beads. The color is sea green, and these are 6mm in size. We'll be using some of these frosted round glass beads in this purple color, and these are 4mm in size. We're going to be using some of these gorgeous faceted rondelle beads. The color is purple paint, and they're 6 by 4mm in dimension. We're also going to be using these other rondelle beads. These are the same size, 6 by 4mm in dimension, but the color is dark cyan. We'll be using these beautiful faceted bicones, and these are 6mm in size, and the color is dark orange. We're also going to use a few of these small bicones. As you can see, they're faceted bicones. They're 4mm in size, and the color is purple. These are the same size bicones. These are 4mm in size, but the color is sea green. We're going to be using these bell bead caps, and these are 9 by 5mm in size. As you can see, they're in an antique bronze color, and they kind of look like little flowers, so we're going to use these to make the little charms on the bracelet. We'll be using one of the clasps that came in the bag, and these are your standard toggle clasps. The ring portion measures about 12mm, not counting the loop. And as you can see, it's in an antique bronze color as well. Now at the end of the tutorial, like I mentioned before, I will separate the 2-strand bracelet and show you how to make a 2 bracelet option using this magnetic clasp. As you can see, it's round and it's 8mm in size. It comes with 2 jump rings attached, and they're soldered jump rings. And I thought it would be a good option to have the second bracelet with a magnetic clasp, because that way you can wear the toggle clasp bracelet and this one together very comfortably. You're going to need the jump rings that came in the bag. You're also going to need the chain that came in the bag. And for those of you who didn't purchase the bag, this is an iron twisted link chain. As you can see, it's in an antique bronze color, and the links are 5 by 3.5 by 0.8mm in size. I'm going to be using some daisy spacers, and as you can see, these are in an antique bronze color. These did not come in the bag, but they're your generic daisy spacer. Okay, nothing fancy about these. We'll be using some of the glass leaf charms that came in the bag. These are called glitter paint glass pendants. As you can see, they're 2-tone, and they're in a medium aqua color, and the dimensions are 17.5 by 10 by 2.9mm. And as you can see, I'm going to be using 3 of them. I'm going to be using some ball head pins. As you can see, these are in an antique bronze color, and they're very thin because we're going to be doing some wrap loops. Okay, so you're going to need a head pin that you can actually do wraps with. Some head pins are really thick and it's really difficult to do wrap loops. So whatever head pin you use, just make sure that you can actually wrap with it. I'm going to be using some crimp tubes, and these are size 2 by Bead Selection, and they're in a copper color, but I'm not too concerned because I'm going to be covering them up with crimp bead covers. And here I have a couple of crimp bead covers and a couple of wire guardians. We're also going to be using some beading wire, and this is by Bead Selection. It's a 49 strand beading wire, and it's in a gold color, as you can see, and the thickness is 0.018 of an inch. Now these are completely optional, guys, okay? I'm using these because my friend Debbie sent them to me, and I just wanted to use them because I thought they were so cute and very spring-like, and they match the colors that I'm going to be using today. So Debbie, thank you so much for sending me these beautiful flower beads, and I'm so happy that I'm finally able to use them. But like I said, guys, if you don't have these, that's okay too. The bracelet is going to look beautiful whether you use these or not. But if you are interested in adding some of these acrylic beads, you can find them on Etsy. You can also find them on Amazon in various colors. We're going to be needing a few of these size 8/0 seed beads, and these are a Toho type of seed bead. They're rounded. And this particular color is metallic matte medium bronze. As you can see, I have an assortment of beads on my mat. And I don't have that many of each one. You're not going to need that many of each because we're only going to make between 20 and 30 charms, okay? It all depends on how big you want your bracelet. And so the first thing we need to determine is how much chain we're going to cut. So let's go ahead and do that first. Now this toggle clasp is going to take up about 1 inch of your bracelet, okay, by the time you add the jump rings. So you need to take that into account. So for this particular toggle clasp and this chain that came in the bag, this is how I do it, guys, okay? It all depends on what kind of chain and what kind of toggle clasp you use, and also what kind of charms you use, okay? Those are all the different variables that can affect how your bracelet fits. But for what we have here right now, this is how I do it. I take the chain and I wrap it around my wrist, okay? And then I overlap it about 1/4 of an inch like this, and that's the equivalent of a couple of links, okay? And that's approximately where I'm going to cut the chain. But this is not the rule, okay? It all depends on what kind of chain you use, like I said before. You're just going to have to determine that based on the materials that you have. Now these links are actually cut, they're not soldered, so I can actually separate them. I don't have to use my snippers. So let me go ahead and do that. Just like that, okay? So here's the chain, and this is what we're going to hang the charms on, okay? So the next thing we need to do is to build the charms. So let me put this aside. And here are my head pins, okay? Let me put this toggle clasp over here as well, out of the way. And this part is super simple, guys, because you get to create whatever you want, okay? It really doesn't matter how you arrange your beads on the head pins. You're going to have to tap into your creativity and just do what looks good. Let me just give you an example of one, okay? I'm going to take this 8mm and thread it on like this, okay? And then one of these daisy spaces and one of these seed beads. So this is what it looks like, okay? And now with your round nose pliers, you're going to grab the head pin at the top of the bead like this, kink it like this, switch to this portion of the pin, okay, like this, and then go ahead and wrap the pin around the nose of your pliers, flip your pliers around, and continue to wrap that pin to the back, like this. We're not going to do any wraps, okay? We're going to wait until we're ready to hang the charms on the chain. So we're just going to build the charms without wrapping them. We're just going to put them down like this, okay? And we're going to build a bunch of them just like that. So let's go ahead and build another one. This time I'm going to use one of these sparkly crystals and then one of these bell caps like this, okay? Same thing, guys. Grab the pin at the top of the bell cap like this, kink it like this, switch, wrap the pin around the nose of your pliers like this, flip your pliers around and continue to wrap to the back like this, and then put it down, okay? Now I know this looks loose right now, but once you do the wraps, it'll tighten all the beads up, okay? So let's do another one. I think this time I'm going to thread on one of these Malaysia Jade beads and one of these 6mm amethysts, like this. Grab the pin at the top of the bead like this, kink it, switch, wrap the pin around the nose of your pliers, flip your pliers around, and continue to wrap to the back and put it down. So this is what we have so far, okay? So the goal is to build a bunch of charms like this using all these beads and have them all look different. Now, because we're doing so many, you will need to repeat some of these, okay? So you may need to do 4 of these, 3 of these, 4 of those. It's completely up to you. So let's do another one. This time I'm going to thread one of these beautiful purple 4mm beads, okay? And I want to use one of these gorgeous flower caps that Debbie sent me. Isn't that adorable, guys? That is so adorable. So we're going to do the same thing, okay? Kink it, switch, wrap it around, flip your pliers around, and wrap to the back. Okay, and don't be concerned about the size of the loop either, okay, because you're not really going to notice it once it hangs on the chain. It's okay if some of your loops are bigger than others. Let's do another one. This time I'm going to use one of these bicones, okay, and I'm going to use another one of these 6mm beads, like this. Grab the pin, kink it, wrap it around your pliers, and continue to wrap to the back and put it down. Let me do another one. This time I'm going to use one of these gorgeous purple rondelle beads. If I can just grab it, there we go. And now one of these beautiful bell caps. I love these. Same thing, grab the pin, kink it 90 degrees, switch, wrap around the nose of your pliers, and continue to wrap to the back. So there's that one, okay. Let's do another one. This time I want to use one of these bicones, these orange bicones, and I'm going to use one of these bell caps like this. That looks gorgeous. I love it. Grab the pin, kink it, switch, wrap it around, flip the pliers around, and wrap to the back. So let's do another one. Now this one's going to be very simple. It's just going to have an 8mm bead like this and a seed bead. Okay, very simple. And that's all there is to it, okay? So you can make them however you want. There are no rules. As you can see, this one has a daisy spacer and a seed bead. This one has a 6mm and one of the Malaysia Jade rondelles. This one just has one of the green rondelles and a bell cap. This one has a bicone and a bell cap. This one has an acrylic flower cap bead and a 4mm round, as you can see. This one has a purple rondelle and a bell cap, okay. This one has a 6mm and a bicone. And this one has an 8mm and a seed bead. Let me just do one more. I haven't used these ones just yet, okay. For these ones, I think I'm going to use one of these bicones. So let me go ahead and thread this one on. And then one of these purple bicones. Like this. And again, you want to kink the pin, switch, and wrap it around your pliers. Flip your pliers around and wrap it to the back. Just like that, okay? Now for these leaves, I'm just going to use jump rings, okay, guys? That's all I'm going to do because these are drilled through the top, as you can see, okay? So the easiest thing to do with these leaf beads is just to put them on jump rings. You do have to make sure that the jump ring is closed really well though, okay? So that's all we're going to do with that one. So anyway, guys, I don't want this video to be very long. So what I'm going to do now is just create a whole bunch of these little charms. And I think I'm going to create about 40 charms for this bracelet today. Just to let you know, I did count the links on this chain and there are approximately 40 links, okay? So if you make 20 charms, you'll be putting one on every other link. But it's completely up to you how full you want it, okay? If you want it really full, obviously you're going to make 40 charms if you have 40 links. But once we build the charms, what we're going to do is arrange them, okay? Because some of them may need a little bit more space than others, depending on which ones you use, okay? For example, these 8mm may need more space, and you may not want to put anything next to that one, okay? So you may need to have a link in between that bead and the next charm, okay? If that makes any sense. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and build a bunch of them, and if I use them all, great. If I don't, that's okay too. I'll just reserve them for another project, or I'll just pull them apart. So anyway, let me keep building these charms. I'm going to speed up the film and I'll meet you back. Well, I'm back. As you can see, I created all my charms, and I actually have a total of 38 charms, including the leaves. And the reason I made 38 instead of 40 is because I removed a couple of links from this chain. I just decided I should make it a little bit shorter, okay? So basically, I've got one charm per link. I'm going to use some jump rings for these, like I said before. And here are my 3 jump rings, okay? These are 6mm in size. And it's actually very easy, guys. Let me show you. I'm going to open up this jump ring. And you need to open it quite a bit so that it fits inside that bead, okay? And now you're just going to thread it on like this. Okay? And we don't have to worry about closing it really well just yet because we haven't attached it to the chain just yet. We will later on once we attach it to the chain. You want to make sure there's no space there, okay? You want to make sure that it's closed perfectly well, all right? Let me go ahead and do these 2. Alright, so I've attached the jump rings and you're probably wondering why I even bothered to close them. The reason I do that is because I have lost so many jump rings in the past where I've connected them and haven't closed them, and I just don't want to have to search the floor of my studio looking for jump rings. So here are all my charms and here's the chain, but we're not going to connect them just yet, okay? What we need to do first is determine how long we want the second strand to be before we attach these charms. So I'm going to flatten out my links so they're laying nice and flat on my mat, and that way I'll be able to get an accurate measurement, okay? And then go ahead and measure the chain. So mine measures 5 7/8 of an inch, okay? I'm actually going to put this one on my Etsy store. I'm not making it for myself, so I'm making it a little bit longer. Like I said before, the toggle clasp and the jump rings are going to add another inch, okay? So you need to keep that in mind. And of course, the charms are going to take up space as well, okay? So even if you measure your wrist size and add 1/4 of an inch, you still need to worry about how much space the charms are going to take, okay? But you know what, guys? This is just chain, and you can always cut yourself another piece if this doesn't work out, all right? So don't panic too much. All right, let me go ahead and get the beading wire. I'm going to cut a length that allows me to do crimping, and I always give myself a couple of inches at each end just to make sure I have enough for the crimping, okay? And I'm just eyeballing it, all right? So there's my wire. Now for the upper strand, I'm going to need some of these rondelle beads, these Malaysia Jade beads. And I'm going to be using these beautiful natural lilac jade hishi beads. Now I'm not going to take them off the strand, I'm going to keep them on the strand. I'm going to use one of my magic rods to measure out the length that I need, okay? The upper strand is going to consist of the hishi beads and the Malaysia Jade beads, okay? Now, if you don't have one of these, you can just use your beading board or you can use a piece of wire. I do carry these in my Etsy store, okay? They're called magic rods. And what's so good about them is that they're rigid and they come with stoppers, okay? So you thread your beads on and you bring the stoppers in close, and that way you can get an accurate measurement. I'm going to leave a link down below to my Etsy store if you're interested, okay? But like I said, you don't have to use this. You can use a piece of wire, or you can use a piece of thread, or just your beading board. It's up to you. Now I have thought about the pattern for these hishi beads, okay? And I think what I'm going to do is add stacks of 5 with a jade bead in between, okay? So let's go ahead and try that. I'm just going to pull out a stack of 5, grabbing them between my index finger and my thumb like this, and then I'm going to thread them directly onto my magic rod, okay, just like that, and then a jade bead, And let me go ahead and thread another 5. And another jade bead. And let's take a look. I think I like that a lot. Initially, I had thought about doing stacks of 7 Hishi beads. But if I do stacks of 5, that means I'll have more of the jade beads. And that's what I want. I want more of the orange to show up. So I'm going to continue with 5 Hishi beads per stack. Let me go ahead and put my stopper on so I don't lose the beads. And I'm going to bring all the beads up close together. And I really like that. It looks really nice. Let's measure it. It looks like it measures a little bit more than 5 1/4, and I need 5 7/8. But I'm not too concerned because the wire guardians and the crimp beads are going to take up space, okay? So by the time I add those on, it should be 5 7/8. As you can see, the wire guardians are relatively long, and these crimp beads actually get rounded when you close them. So they'll measure approximately 4 millimeters, okay? So by the time I attach these, it should measure 5 7/8. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to leave it like this. Let me go ahead and put a clip on this beading wire so I don't lose my beads. Here are my crimp bead covers, and here are a couple of wire guardians and a couple of crimp tubes. So let me go ahead and thread these on. And when you're working with rods, the best thing to do is to hold the rod on this end like this, and then pull the stopper off this end, and then offload in multiples. So I'm grabbing 5 Hishi beads all at once, and I'm going to thread them directly onto my beading wire like this. Okay. The rondelle I'm just going to grab by itself, okay, and then my 5 Hishi beads all at once. And the reason I'm doing it like that is so that I don't lose the pattern, okay? And it's also because that's how much I can hold between my index finger and my thumb. So I'm just going to keep threading these on. Okay, I've threaded them on as you can see. And now we're going to go ahead and crimp this end. So now let's go ahead and thread on a crimp tube like this. And now a wire guardian. So we're going to go in one end like this. Take the tail and go down the other end like this. And now take the tail and thread it back through the crimp tube like this. Okay, bring it down. You're going to pull the tail because you want that beading wire to sit inside that wire guardian like this. I always like to close the little legs of the wire guardian, okay, like that. And once again, you want to snug things up. And you also want to separate your beading wire so it's not crossed inside that crimp tube. And now we're going to place the crimp tube inside the first notch of your pliers, the deep one, okay? That's the one that creates the U shape. So you want to place it inside there. Separate your wire one more time and pull the tail, make sure there's no slack. And then go ahead and squeeze down. Like that. Turn it on its side. And I always choose the middle notch out of the 3 notches there to fold the crimp tube over. Okay, so just place it in there like this and then squeeze, and that folds it over. And then I like to use the tip to close up the crimp tube a little bit more like this. And now we're going to get rid of this tail. So you want to come in real close with your snippers, okay, and snip it off just like that. And now we're going to slide on a crimp bead cover. Just like that, okay. I like to use these other crimping pliers to close up my crimp cover, okay. But you do want to do it gently. You don't want to dent that metal, okay. And you can use chain nose pliers if you want to. but you do want to go slowly and you want to do it gently. And I always go around the whole bead just to make sure I get a nice round shape. Just like that, okay? And now we're going to slide things down. You want to get rid of the spaces, but you want it to be fluid, okay? You don't want it real tight. So now we're going to go ahead and thread on a crimp tube. Like this. And now the wire guardian going in one end. Bring it down. And let's go in through the other end. Pull it through. And now take the tail and go through the crimp tube. Like this. Pull. Let's close up the little legs of the wire guardian. And like I said before, you want to make sure this is fluid, okay, before you crimp down. Separate your beading wire the best you can and go ahead and place your crimp tube inside the first notch. Make sure the beading wire is sitting inside the wire guardian and then go ahead and crimp down just like that. Turn it on its side. And now we're going to fold it over and tighten it up with the tip of your pliers, just like that. And now get in real close and snip off the excess. And now we'll slide on a crimp bead cover like this. And now with these pliers, we're going to close up the crimp bead cover. Just like that, okay? So now this one's done. And now let's make sure that it's the same length as this chain, and it looks like it is, pretty much. So now that this is done, we're going to go ahead and attach the charms to the chain before we assemble the whole thing, okay? So let's move this out of the way. Now, like I said before, I have 38 links and I have 38 charms. And the goal is to distribute them evenly, okay? So let me move this down a little bit, and we're going to start by putting down the larger charms, okay? Kind of where I want them to be, approximately, okay? This doesn't have to be precise, guys, all right? We're just going to arrange them on the mat first, and then we'll attach them to the chain. So now let me go ahead and continue to put them down wherever I think they should go. You want to make sure you distribute the colors evenly as well, okay? I usually put down the large ones first, and then the small ones on top of that. But this does not have to be precise. This is just to get an idea of where you're going to hang everything, okay? So I think this looks pretty good. I know it looks like a mess to you, but I've distributed things as evenly as I can. And now we're just going to go ahead and attach it. Now you have two choices. You can either start from the middle and work your way out, or you can just start at one end and work your way down. It's up to you how you want to do it. I think I'm going to start from this end, okay, just to make things easy for myself. And I do want to place a small charm at the very end because that's where the clasp is going to be, okay? So let's go ahead and start with this one here. I'm going to grab the chain. And now I'm going to insert the wire into the first link like this, okay? Just like that. And now I'm going to grab the loop of my charm with a set of skinny pliers like this. And with another set, I'm going to grab the tail and I'm going to do my wraps. And you can do as many wraps as you want to, okay? Because the goal is to make sure that you cover the top of the pin with wraps. Once you've done your wraps, you're going to snip the excess off. So let me come in real close with my snippers, like that. And then definitely tuck in whatever little end is sticking out. You don't want anything sharp sticking out, okay? So there's my first one. And now I'm going to connect the second one. So let's take a look at the links. I'm going to connect the next charm on this side of the next link, okay? On the opposite side. Like this. And now I'm going to grab the loop with a set of skinny pliers again. And with my other pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and do as many wraps as I need to. You want to make sure your beading cap is nice and secure in there. You don't want it wobbly, all right? You don't want it loose. And now we're going to snip off the excess. And now tuck in the little end. just like that, okay? So let me show you what we have so far. I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but on the first link, I have the charm on the bottom, and on the second link, I have the charm on the top, okay? And that's the way I'm going to build the entire bracelet. It's a little tricky because this is twisted chain and it does twist around, okay? But just do the best you can and try to alternate sides. So my next charm is going to go on this side of this link, okay? Let me go ahead and grab one of these. So let's take another look. As you can see, this charm is connected on this side of the link. Now I'm going to go to this link and connect the next charm on this side, okay? So let me go ahead and loop it through. Like this, okay? And now let me grab the loop with my skinny pliers and do a couple of wraps. Or as many wraps as you need to, okay? I'm saying a couple out of habit, but you can do anywhere between 2 and 4 wraps, whatever it takes to fill up that space, okay? And now let's go ahead and snip off the excess. Tuck in the little end. So let me show you again what we've done, okay? So we have this charm on the bottom side of this first link. The second charm is on the top side, and this third charm is on the bottom side of the third link, okay? So that's how we're working. We're alternating sides. It's a little tricky and a little tedious, but it'll really look nice once it's done. Let's go ahead and connect the next one. As you can see, this charm is on the bottom of this link. So now I'm going to connect the next one on the top of the next link. So let me go ahead and loop it through. Like this. Grab it with your skinny pliers and do the wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck in whatever little end is sticking out. So let me show you what we have so far, okay? I hope you can see how we're alternating sides. But that's basically it, guys, okay? I have one charm on each link, and each time I attach a charm, I alternate sides. So I'm going to continue to do the same thing for all of these charms, okay? And so this video isn't too long. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the film, and I'll meet you back. Okay, as you can see, I connected all the charms. And like I mentioned before, I connected one per link. And as long as you distribute your beads evenly, it should work out okay. You don't want to have all the big ones on one end and the little ones on the other end. So now all we need to do is connect the toggle clasp. I have 4 jump rings here, and these are 5mm jump rings, okay? So let's go ahead and open up one of these jump rings. And now let's go ahead and connect it to this last link, like this. And here's the bar portion of the toggle clasp. We'll connect it to that. Now there's enough room in the loop of this toggle clasp to connect 2 strands, okay? So you can definitely have 2 jump rings in there. Let's go ahead and close this one up. You want to definitely make sure the jump ring is closed really, really well, okay? So now this one's connected. Let's go ahead and connect that in now. So once again, we're going to open up another jump ring, and now we'll connect it to this strand. And now let's go ahead and connect it to the toggle clasp, like this, and close it up. So this is what we have so far, okay? Let's open up another jump ring. Connect it to this end, like this. Connect it to the ring portion of the toggle clasp, and close it up really well. And now we're just going to connect this jump ring to the other strand. So let's go ahead and hook it up to this last link like this. Take the loop of the toggle clasp, and now let's connect it to the loop of the toggle clasp like this and close it up. Make sure it's nicely closed. And that's it, guys. There's the beautiful 2-strand bracelet. And isn't it gorgeous? It's so beautiful. It's so spring-like. I love all the different kinds of charms. We have the mixture of glass and gemstones and crystals. Let me go ahead and hook it up. You want to make sure that it hooks up properly, okay? If you're struggling getting it connected, you might want to add some more jump rings. But this one seems to be okay. I don't like my bracelets really loose, okay? But this one seems to fit pretty nicely. I like how it fits. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at that. Isn't it beautiful, guys? I love the colors. It's so pretty. Now I am going to connect a little dangle, and it's completely optional. You do not have to connect anything else, okay? You got enough dangles here, but I wanted to use the gorgeous flower bead that my friend Debbie sent me. So let me go ahead and connect it. Here it is. As you can see, I have a 4mm, a 6mm, then the beautiful flower cap, okay? And then a bicone on top of that. And I'm just going to do a wrap loop, just like I've been doing, okay? And now let me go ahead and do some wraps. Snip off the excess. And I'm going to tuck in the little end. I have another jump ring here. I'm just going to hook it up to the charm, and then I'm going to hook it up to one of these jump rings here. It doesn't matter which one. And close it up. And that's it, guys. Isn't it pretty? It's so beautiful. I love it. So now I'm going to separate these two bracelets and attach a magnet clasp to the Hishi bracelet. As you can see, I've separated the bracelets, and I actually like this one by itself, to be quite honest. I think it's very fancy with all the dangles, and I don't think you really need to attach a second strand to it. And I like the idea of having two separate options in case you want to have something more minimalist like this one here. But I think they're going to look nice together anyways. So let me go ahead and attach the magnet clasp. We'll go ahead and separate it first. Grab a jump ring. And this couldn't be any easier, guys, okay? Let's go ahead and open up this jump ring. As you can see, it has a soldered jump ring already attached, but I'm going to go ahead and attach this one to it, like this. And then I'm going to attach it to this end of the bracelet, like this. And now let's go ahead and close it up. So there's that end. Let's grab the other jump ring. And we'll open it up. And now attach this end. Like this. And attach it to the bracelet. Close up the jump ring. And here's the second bracelet. I think it's adorable and very easy to put on, okay? It looks great too. I love it. And it looks really great with this bracelet. See how lovely it looks? Look how beautiful these two look together. And even though there are two clasps, they work well together, okay? It's not too bulky. So which option do you prefer? Do you prefer a double strand bracelet, or do you prefer having two separate ones like this? I prefer to have two separate options like this. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you can go out and make your own bracelets. Let me go ahead and put this away and I'll come back and say goodbye. I would actually wear both of those bracelets, but I don't think I'd wear them together. I think I'd wear one or the other. And I do have the tiny one on. Isn't it cute? I love it. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.